Greetings, everyone. I'm here to talk about the brand new Ringo Starr EP extended play 12-inch record called Zoom In. That's just released, and it also is available on compact disc and also cassette. So you have your options what you want to get. We're going to talk, I guess, about the vinyl more or less and the order of the running tracks in side one and side two. There were only 5 songs on this album, okay, because it's not an LP, a long playing record. It's a EP, which is an extended play. And I want to say from the top, it's kind of curious because after Ringo's last album from 2019, which was called What's My Name, and which I thought was a fantastic piece of work, it's in my personal top 3 Ringo albums of his entire career of 20 some odd albums that he's done. I loved it. And he said after that was going to be possibly his last album, and that from this point on he would only concentrate on EPs. And what's interesting though, as I'm making this video, is Ringo has announced that in addition to this one, Zoom In, he's going to be having another one coming out, EP, in October, which is like, as I keep saying to my friends, I say, look, don't get me wrong, the more music from Ringo, the better. I welcome new music by Paul and Ringo, but it's just curious to me that he didn't want to do any more albums, but he's going to put out 2 EPs, which are like 5 songs and another 5 songs, 10 songs in total, give or take. You could have had a full album, so I'll take it any way I can get it, but just a little note that I'd like to observe, okay? But let's talk about this first. Before we get to the songs, I'm going to say inside this record, we have a really nice inner photo there of Ringo, still flashing his peace and his peace sign and peace shirt, right? And on the other side, we have a nice listing of the tracks and all of the people who worked on, the musicians, producers, everybody, singers, and all the lyrics. All right. Now, the record is in a white sleeve, and it's got the poly lining in here, so it's nice and protective of the record itself. And the record label, you got it. It's a peace sign. All right. There it is. All right. So I've actually only played the CD, even though I'm going to be talking about the song order and putting it in side 1 and side 2 for the vinyl. I've listened to it on the CD, and the sound quality was really pretty good. I mean, I was really impressed with the sound. You can't really go by listening to this on the phone. I mean, if you're listening to this on a phone or just downloading it or something, it doesn't do it justice, because I've heard this both on the CD quality, and I've also heard it just listening to it on the phone, and there was no comparison. The songs were nowhere near as strong and impressive on the phone as it was on the stereo system, All right, so let's talk about the actual tracks. To start off with, the first song on here is the song called Here's to the Nights, and it's a wonderful song in my view. This song was actually released online kind of in December of 2020. This is a song that Ringo said he wanted it out for New Year's Eve in 2020. He says because it feels like a good song to end a tough year on. And I agree. This is Ringo's pandemic offering. That's why the album is called Zoom In. Hearkening to the Zoom chats that we have to do and the way we communicate, I guess, by Zoom and virtual communication. So the first thing about this song is I liked it back in December. I still like it. I think it's a wonderful track. It's written by Diane Warren, and it definitely has a New Year's Eve vibe to it. Lift your glass, let's, toast along and cheer to the nights. Hey, here's to the nights. It makes a great New Year's Eve song, and that's why I personally feel like this song should have been released as a single. They should have really promoted this heavily for the New Year's Eve of 2020, and I believe this would have been Ringo's first hit in a long time. And the reason I say that is, although I love Ringo, and that's the reason I'm all in for this for Ringo, the guest singers on this track would have brought a lot of other people in. Listen to the list of guest singers on Here's to the Nights: Paul McCartney, Joe Walsh, Corinne Bailey Rae, Eric Burton of the Black Pumas, Sheryl Crow, Phineas, Dave Grohl, Ben Harper, Lenny Kravitz, Steve Lukather, Chris Stapleton, and Yola, among others, singing on the chorus of this. Everybody all together. This is a feel-good song. Everybody, let's toast a glass. And the lyrics have stuff like, so here's to the nights we won't remember, and the friends we won't forget. Kind of like, let's all get over the pandemic. Let's all toast to better times, forget the bad, and cheers to the good. I absolutely adore this song. I think it's really a really strong song, and I just think Ringo could have had a hit if they really aggressively pursued promoting this. They had a video out in December. I think it did well online, but it wasn't a full-fledged single really. So had they released it on its own as a single and really promoted the guest stars on here too, Ringo could have had a hit. All right, so I'm done repeating myself on that. One other thing, a minor criticism that I'll say, I'm very big on the sequencing of tracks. I feel like leading this EP off with the song Here's to the Nights was not really the best choice. This is a really happy, uplifting, celebratory song that I personally think would have worked a lot better if it had been the last track on the record. Instead of being the first track, finish off the record with this kind of upbeat, optimistic, let's all be together and celebrate feeling. I just think it's a bit of a misfire starting the album off with this track. All right. Okay, second track is, in my opinion, the best song on the record. It's the new one that everybody's hearing, that's being out and promoted everywhere. It's called Zoom In, Zoom Out. Very poppy song, very pop. It's written by Jeff Silbar and Joe Turley. It's got a very catchy chorus. I can't get that zoom in, zoom out chorus out of my head, and a lot of people who know me the last few days have been getting very annoyed by me singing that zoom in, zoom out. I won't do it here. I won't bother your ears, but I'm telling you, I got that in my head. And what I really notice about this song and about the album in general is you have really wonderful backing female vocalists on this. There are singers in the background that make this album sound retro. In addition to it sounding really good today, it sounds almost like a retro record, something you would hear in the 70s or 60s, female singers among them. I'll name some names here, like Amy Keys, Wendy Wagner, and others. I just really think the women on this album singing along in the back with Ringo very vibrantly really kind of to lift the songs up here. It sounds, as I say, like you're listening to the old days, for those of us who like the old music. I really like their contribution to this record, so I want that to be in everybody's minds as I go through this, because they figure on many of the songs, and they're just terrific. All right, so yeah, Zoom In, Zoom Out, definitely a favorite of mine. Now, those are the first two tracks, and those two tracks, when we're talking about the vinyl EP version, that's all that you have on side one. The best two tracks, in my opinion, open side one. When you flip the album over to side two, we get the remaining three songs. The third one is a song I like also. To me, I think the first three tracks on this record, whether you pick the record or whether you pick the CD, first three tracks are the strongest. The third one is called Teach Me To Tango, and it opens up side two on the vinyl. Ignore the title, folks. I mean, right away, I thought too, oh my God, Ringo has a song on one of his old albums, I believe it's Ringo the Fourth, called Tango All Night. And he has another one on Ringo 2012 called Samba, I believe it is. I said, oh, not another like tango song from Ringo, but have no fear. I got to tell you, when I heard it, it's really the rockiest track on here. Teach Me to Tango, written by Sam Hollander and Ringo and Grant Michaels, is actually a lot of fun. It's actually upbeat, and the chorus of "You Gotta Live It Up." It's basically you gotta live it up. Teach me to tango. Really get into it. Uh, have a good time kind of thing. It's an upbeat song. I'm going to take this moment to talk about the guitars. There's very tasty guitar playing by a number of people on here. I won't name them all. The guitar players are fantastic. I love the guitar bits on this entire EP. Ringo plays drums and percussion on this. Ringo's drumming is really strong and vibrant and lively. I love Ringo's drums on this also. He's terrific on here, Ringo. Really, and the man's going to be 81 years old a few months from the recording of this, almost 81, and he still sounds fantastic. It amazes me. I can't say enough about that. But yeah, also in this song, Teach Me to Tango, there's like the female singers put in the background a lot of OOOs, and it's kind of like when you hear these OOOs, it really does feel again like you're listening to something from the 1970s. It's really wonderful. I really like Teach Me to Tango. That is what I consider to be one of the better songs. The first three songs are really good. Now, in my opinion, just based only on 2 listens, I will say all these songs pretty much appealed to me right away. I didn't have to play them over and over again. They appealed to me instantly. But as far as the last 2 tracks, for me, they're the 2 weakest songs. They're still pretty good. They're not bad. But to me, they're, at this point right now, the first impression that I'm giving here, these are probably, for me, the 2 weaker of the songs. But anyway, first we have Waiting for the Tide to Turn, okay, which was written by Ringo, and I'm sorry if I pronounce his name wrong. I always say Bruce Sugar. I like to say Sugar. I forget how to say it. I apologize. But it's written by Ringo and Bruce, and it's a reggae track. It has that reggae sound. Ringo was doing all that. I really like the song that he did on called King of the Kingdom. I love that song. One of my favorite tracks from an album he did a few years ago called Give More Love. The reggae continues here. Again, we got good background vocals that harken back to maybe decades past by Zelma Davis. Zelma Davis is another one of the female vocalists on here that really give this EP its pop. I really appreciate that. This is a song of hope. With these tough times we're going through with the pandemic and all, we're waiting for the tide to turn, and it's a kind of an uplifting song in reggae style, and I really like the track, although it's not as good to me personally as the first 3. Now, the last song that we finish off the EP with is called Not Enough Love in the World, and that is written by Steve Lukather and Joseph Williams. To me, it's easily the least song on the record. I don't dislike it, but it's more of a filler track. I'd say out of the 5 tracks, it's kind of the filler. And it's funny, after we just got done with a song of hope and more uplifting kind of thing, this is kind of a downer a little bit. It's basically lyrics about being stuck inside, everyone's telling lies, there's not enough hope in the world, there's bad news every day. It's kind of just depressing kind of song in a way. Basically bemoaning the fact that there's not enough love and peace in the world today, and how sad that is and stuff. It's not a slow and down song. It's a bouncy and upbeat type of tune. So that kind of saves it. And again, I mean, I would tell you if I didn't like it at all, but I just think it's kind of the most ordinary song. But I think it can grow on me. I mean, the main chorus of "There's Not Enough Love in the World" is kind of catchy, and all of these songs, by the way, I would say, are in flavor of the last album, What's My Name, that Ringo had. I love that album, What's My Name, from 2019. If you liked What's My Name, if you did like it, I think you'll really like this. So that's my opinion on it anyway. It's kind of in the same form. I think Ringo's really in good form. Ringo produced the album, and it was co-produced and mixed by Bruce Sugar. Bruce Sugar, apologies again. I should have learned how to say that before, but that's one of those tricky names. For this album, Ringo recorded it at his own home studio. He's got a home studio, and during the pandemic, Ringo took precautions by inviting a few musicians at a time, at various times, to the home in order to do this. And I am really happy with this overall. It's a nice little quickie, a quick in and out kind of record. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's generally fun and upbeat and bouncy and happy. It's positive vibes overall, with the exception of possibly the last track. But yeah, I give a thumbs up to this album. Well done, Ringo. I'm looking forward to the next EP that's supposedly coming out near the end of the year in October or so. Take care, everybody.